As we journey through this crisis together, the pastors of this church are taking turns sharing devotions to help give you support and encouragement during this time. Now we find ourselves in the midst of Holy Week, that week between Palm Sunday and Easter Sunday, where we remember and retrace the steps of Christ on his way to this cross, to his death, and the glorious day of the resurrection on Easter Sunday. We have been preparing our hearts and minds for this holy season during this entire season of Lent. Lent being those 40 days leading up to Easter Sunday. The season of Lent starts on Ash Wednesday. This year, Ash Wednesday was February 26th. Boy, a lot has happened since that day. At that time, we were just starting to learn about this coronavirus here in the United States. We were trying to figure out what this social distancing was all about. The full impact of the virus on our lives had not hit the United States yet. Much of the outbreak and spread of the disease was over in other countries. What a difference 5 weeks make. It has now affected all parts of our lives and our society. We could not have anticipated what was going to happen, and we still don't know how all this will end up. 5 weeks ago, around Ash Wednesday, we had this perspective that coronavirus was somewhere else in our world. Foolishly, we may have looked at it being someone else's problem. We went on our way through life with very little changes. Children still went on with their schoolwork, trying to avoid doing their homework. Seniors in high school were looking forward to all the events that marked their final year in high school. College students were looking forward to where they would go for spring break. And all of us were looking forward to the traditions of this special time of the year, the Easter egg hunts, the sunrise services, and those wonderful Easter Sunday morning worship services. COVID-19 was a word, a code word for something out there, but not here. Now we realize it is our problem too. The anxiety and fear of this disease, it's all around us. We all probably have heard of someone that has been tested positive for the virus, whether it be a close family member, or a friend, a coworker, or our neighbor. And suddenly, it's personal. It's no longer something for someone else to be concerned about. It's our concern and fear too. It's personal. The brunt of a huge weight is on us now. It's interesting that a byproduct of this time is that we are discovering the value of old things. Every day seems to be like Throwback Thursday. As we manage this crisis, we're going on walks. We're calling on family and friends. And we're gathering our families together and putting down those video games and cell phones and actually playing board games together. The Ride Out family has discovered the joy of karaoke night. What I want to share with you today is something we can do that can help us turn to God in this time. It will be something that hopefully will give you comfort as these days seem to get heavier and heavier. And it's not something new. It's something really old. It's a prayer. It's a prayer that our parents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents, and actually for generations going back 3,000 years, they all turned to. And now it lands in our laps as a gift to lead us through the time. The prayer starts out like this. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, or shall not be in want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Many of you will recognize that's the beginning of the words of the 23rd Psalm, the psalm attributed to King David that gives us such great comfort. I was listening to a pastor this past week reflecting on this psalm for our times today, and he made an observation about the psalm that I'd never noticed before. The first few phrases, King David refers to the Lord as He. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Then suddenly at that point, there's a pronoun shift. For the Lord is now referred to as you. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod, your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. That great shepherd, which the psalm talks about, and whom we know as God through Jesus Christ, is painstakingly leading his flock, which is us, today. And suddenly it gets personal. David had to show us something that we need to hear today, that often when we're in the valley, the deepest valley of our despair, the valley of the shadow of death, that is when God, the shepherd, becomes more personal. God is no longer over there. God is the you that is right here with me. Now that COVID-19 has become real for us, it is in this time that God, the shepherd, needs to become more real for us, for that relationship to become more personal. And one way to make that so, may I suggest you to pray this psalm in a different way, where we talk to God, God the one who gets personal, who is personal, so that we won't be in want, so that we do not have to fear because God is with us, so that we live in the house of the Lord and be in God's presence forever. And God is the one that seeks us out to give us mercy and goodness forever. So may I end by praying these words in a way that helps us turn to God, God who is with us in these times. Let us pray. Lord, you are my shepherd. I shall not want. You make me to lie down in green pastures. You lead me beside the still waters. You restore my soul. You lead me in paths of righteousness for your name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever.